Singapore, tiny island to rich nation in 50 years. Richer than the average American. In 1965, Singapore was doomed. Kicked out, no resources, tiny, high unemployment, surrounded by enemies, no army. One crisis at a time. All of them. Now, impossible? How did they do it? Before the comeback, how did they get here? Just a sleepy fishing village. Nothing special. 1819, Raffles sees a trading port. Mosquitoes and pirates. Perfect. Location, location, location. How much? So much. Money. Raffles was right. That location was key. Perfect spot. India-China trade route. The world's busiest highway toll booth. British rule equals rapid growth. Immigrants poured in for work. Population exploded. Britain's Asian jewel, diverse, booming port, mostly made the British rich. But hey, everything was great. Until, sir, Japanese invasion. Impenetrable fortress. Big guns aimed at the sea. Armor-piercing shells ready. Battleships? Like wet paper. Sir, they're coming from the north. Through the jungle? The jungle? Impossible. No one moves an army through the jungle. They're here, sir. Oh, awkward. 1942, Japanese capture Singapore. Worst disaster. Confident in the sea defense, left the back wide open. Cost them everything. You might be doing this right now. Someone watching your every move online. You don't see them coming. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Coffee shop Wi-Fi. Seems safe, right? Wrong. Hackers steal your data on public networks. Ooh, bank account. Mine now. Man-in-the-middle attacks happen. Derek could be stealing your data. Buying a Rolex with your card. That's why I use NordVPN. One click. Encrypted tunnel. Gibberish to hackers. Best part? Virtual world travel. Want UK shows? Boom. London. Japan. Tokyo, here I come. Don't leave your digital back door open. NordVPN.com/crayoncapital for a deal. 30-day money-back guarantee. Zero risk. NordVPN.com/crayoncapital. Link in description. Where were we? Japanese occupation. Brutal. Starvation. Death. Renamed Shonen to Light of the South. More like darkness. War ends 1945. British return. Locals saw the mighty empire fall fast. British rule lost its invincible shine. You were supposed to protect us. Sorry. Pretend it didn't happen? No. Independence. Independence? You can't run a country. Survived 3 years without you. We'll manage. Singapore sought independence. Complicated. Tiny, mostly Chinese. Surrounded by Malay-majority Malaya. British idea, mash them together. Brilliant idea. Singapore joins Malaya? Malaysia. Will it work? Probably not. Let's try. 1963, Singapore joins Malaysia. Seemed good then. Singapore gets resources. Malaysia gets talent. Win-win. Wrong. Tensions flared immediately. Malays favored policies. Lee Kuan Yew wanted equality. PM, nope. Not happening. But the deal? Deal's off. Tariffs now. What? Unfair. Life isn't fair. Deal with it. Deal with it. Riots. Deaths. Unbearable. 1965. Expelled from Malaysia. Singapore, you're out. You can't kick us out. We're part of Malaysia. Not anymore. Seriously? We'll die alone. Good luck with that. On August 9, 1965, Singapore became its own country. The leader who fought to join Malaysia, Lee Kuan Yew, went on TV and actually cried. He wasn't happy crying. He thought Singapore was doomed. And honestly, he had a point. Let's look at Singapore in 1965. Zero natural resources. No oil, no minerals, not even enough fresh water. No real army. Surrounded by bigger neighbors who didn't trust them. High unemployment, racial tension, and an economy hooked on British bases that could leave anytime. Singapore's odds of survival? Pretty grim. We're going to die? We're definitely going to die. We're not going to die. How can you be so sure? Because I refuse to let us die. Now shut up and listen to my plan. Lee Kuan Yew knew Singapore had just one edge. Its location. Ships still had to pass by. If Singapore could become the main port, trading hub, and financial center for Southeast Asia, maybe, just maybe, they could survive. But there were big problems to fix first. And by problems, I mean pretty much everything was a problem. Problem number 1, water. We need water. We can import it from Malaysia. What if Malaysia gets mad and cuts us off? We die of thirst. Exactly. So, We need our own water. Build reservoirs everywhere. I want this whole island covered in water collection spots. But sir, we barely have any land. Then use the roofs. Every building's roof is now a water collector. Also, start figuring out how to make seawater drinkable. That's impossible with today's tech. Then invent the tech. Next problem, the economy. Singapore's main cash came from British military bases. But the British were leaving. Singapore needed jobs and factories. Here's the catch. In the 60s, most developing nations focused on being self-sufficient. They'd block imports, make their own stuff, and tell foreign companies to leave. Lee Kuan Yew looked at this and thought, that's dumb. Sir, Singapore is tiny. We can't be self-sufficient. We don't have the resources. So, we'll do the exact opposite. We'll be the most business-friendly place on earth. How? Zero corruption, efficient government, low taxes, rule of law. And we'll invite every foreign company to set up here. We'll be the bridge between East and West. But sir, other developing countries will call us sellouts. Let them. In 20 years, we'll be rich, and they'll still be struggling. Now, next problem, housing. Most Singaporeans lived in actual slums. Overcrowded, unsanitary, fire hazards. Lee Kuan Yew saw them and said, this is unacceptable. Sir, we don't have money for public housing. Find the money. I want everyone in Singapore in a decent home within a generation. That's impossible. Stop saying things are impossible. Anything is impossible until someone does it. So, the government launched the biggest public housing project ever. The Housing Development Board started building apartments at lightning speed. But here's the genius part. They didn't just give people homes. They made them affordable to buy. Singapore created the Central Provident Fund. Basically, mandatory savings. Every worker had to save part of their pay, and they could use that money to buy their government-built apartments. This meant people owned their homes. They had a stake in the country. The government got money back to build more. Everyone had retirement savings. It was brilliant. By the 1980s, over 80% of Singaporeans lived in public housing they owned. Good luck finding that elsewhere. And a major key to Singapore's success, education. If we have no natural resources, our people are our resource. Everyone needs to learn. Everyone. But sir, many Singaporeans can't read or write. Then teach them. Build schools. Lots of schools. And make English the language of instruction. But we have Chinese, Malays, Indians. They all speak different languages. Exactly. English will be neutral. Plus, it's the language of global business. Our kids will be fluent in English and their own language. They'll be able to do business anywhere. This was controversial. Some thought Lee was erasing local culture. But Lee wasn't worried. He was thinking long-term. Lastly, defense. Remember, Singapore had almost no military in 1965 and was surrounded by bigger countries. Malaysia to the north, Indonesia to the south. What if they attacked? We need an army. A real one. But sir, we're tiny. How can we defend ourselves? We make ourselves too poisonous to swallow. Every male citizen serves in the military. Everyone learns to fight. If anyone attacks us, it'll hurt them badly. Singapore started mandatory military service. Every fit male had to serve. Today, Singaporean men still serve 2 years. And Lee wasn't joking about making Singapore a hard target. The Singapore Armed Forces became one of the most advanced militaries in Southeast Asia, with modern gear and training. But here's the thing about these policies. They worked. Really worked. By the 1970s, foreign companies were pouring into Singapore. The port was growing. New industries were popping up. The economy was booming, growing double digits. Singapore became what Lee envisioned, the trading hub, the financial center, the go-to-business spot in Asia. But Lee Kuan Yew's Singapore wasn't just about money. It was about control. Lee believed in Asian values, social harmony over individual freedom, order over chaos, the group's good over personal liberty. This meant super strict laws. No chewing gum, huge fines for littering or vandalism. You might even get caned. The government controlled the media, keeping a tight grip on newspapers and TV. Even Lee's party dominated elections, limiting other political voices. Western countries called Singapore authoritarian. Lee's reply, look at our results. Clean streets, low crime, a booming economy, high literacy. Maybe your Western democracy isn't the only way to run a country. But what about free speech? You can have all the free speech you want in a failed country. Or you can have prosperity and order. Most people choose prosperity. Next question. Was Lee right? Was he wrong? That's a debate for another day. But this is undeniable. It worked. Singapore went from third world to first world in one generation. By the 1990s, Singapore's GDP per person was higher than Britain's, the country that colonized them. Let that sink in. The slums were gone, replaced by sleek skyscrapers. The port was one of the busiest globally. The airport was top-notch. Singapore was an Asian tiger, booming, diverse, and strong. Then, in 2015, Lee Kuan Yew passed away at 91. The nation grieved. People waited hours to say goodbye. Love him or hate him, his impact was undeniable. He transformed a small, doomed island with nothing into a global success. Its GDP per capita even surpassed the US. Quite a leap from 1965's tears. But Singapore still has hurdles. The population is aging, and birth rates are dropping. Homes are pricey. The government struggles to keep control in the age of social media and global trends. And what about Singapore's unique system as the founders fade? We'll see. Still, Singapore's journey from nothing to everything is incredible. A tiny island, no resources, yet an economic giant in under 50 years. Pure grit, smart moves, and a leader who wouldn't quit. We had to win, or we'd fail. And they won. So next time you hear impossible, remember Singapore. It was supposed to be impossible too.